Hi, this side Avid Bansal. I'm an author and a life coach in the art of conscious living. I've made myself available here with just one simple intention to spread the right awareness about the phenomena of life, what people call as manifestation. And here's my assurance to you whatever I will be sharing in these videos, it will be completely faithful to the original intention of Neville Goddard, and it will be coming straight from my own experience of life. So today in this video, I want to take you into one of the most misunderstood aspect of Neville Goddard's teaching, something that has confused beginners as well as the long-time students. The mysterious and so often uncomfortable process that Neville calls as the bridge of incidents. And this is not a trendy concept, not a modern interpretation, not a sugar-coated version of manifestation. It's one of the most honest and most revealing and the most essential parts of the law. And yet, it is the most confusing part. It is the part that people usually resist because it really arrives dressed in a way that they really want it to happen. The bridge comes in its own garments, in its own timing, and its own unpredictable rhythm. And for many, that unpredictability feels frightening. But today my intention is quite simple. I want to give you the clarity, not theoretical clarity, not surface level clarity, but the kind that settles deep within inside of your own being. Clarity that brings rest and that brings relief and that brings understanding, especially if your life appears chaotic right now. It might appear uncertain or painfully or plainly out of order, because once you understand the bridge of incidents, you stop panicking, you stop doubting, and most importantly, you stop abandoning your assumptions halfway. So Neville taught that the moment you assume, the feeling of your wish fulfilled, not thinking about it, not hoping for it, not trying to force it, but you truly assume it, something within you shift, a moment begins. But it does not begin in the outer world, it begins in you, in the unseen depth of your own consciousness. That inner moment changes your state of being. And because your state has changed, the world outside must reorganize itself to reflect your new identity. This entire reorganization, this subtle, sometimes very gentle, sometimes violent rearranging of your facts of the world, may be related to your relationships, circumstances, or conditions, is what Neville describes as the bridge of incidents. It is the path from the old state to the new one. It is the corridor between who you were in your past and what you have become right now. It is the invisible thread that ties your assumptions to its own expression. And the most important point, you do not build the bridge. You do not design it at all. You do not calculate it. You simply enter the end. And the bridge unfolds as a natural consequence of what you have assumed to be. To look out for the bridge of incidents, that is not at all your job. Your only job is to live in the end. To garner the feeling of wish fulfilled, that's the only job that you have to take care about. Now, here is where so many people usually lose their way. They assume the end first of all. Then they wait for the world to give them some kind of a pleasant sign, a comforting progress, or maybe a gentle confirmation. They expect their bridge to feel like a spiritual message to them, like maybe warm, predictable, peaceful, or reassuring. But the bridge is not here to comfort your old self. Remember this fact. And this is the biggest mistake what I am seeing nowadays on the online platform. Bridge is not here to comfort the old self. The bridge is here to deliver you to the new self. And everything that cannot travel with you into that new state that you have assumed, it must fall away. Sometimes it feels, or maybe it falls gracefully. Sometimes it falls violently, but it must fall. And this is why bridges sometimes can feel messy. They can feel chaotic. They can feel like life is sliding out of your own hands. Old patterns break open. Old relationship shifts. Old structures collapse. Things you once depended upon begins to dissolve. And the rational mind, our own old mind, the rational mind, interprets this dissolution as some kind of a danger. And this is where most people lose faith. So you can take an example. So you can think of it this way: you're living in hot, humid, temperate kind of a temperature in an environment. Maybe in India, you can take an example in India. You live in South India. The temperature is not so warm. It is humid. The winters are not so harsh. Now, if you plan to move, your current state is that you're living in South India, where the temperature is very, very, very calm. Now you want to shift into Kashmir, where the temperature is, you can say, -5, -10, -15. Even if you go to the higher altitude, it will go about -40. Now, if you want to travel to the state of Kashmir, into the mountains, you must leave behind your the clothes of the summer, and you must get the clothes of the winter. And that is the change that your bridge is actually trying to bring about. But our rational mind, it always interpret it as a danger. You cannot carry your older self into the new state. What belongs to the new state, it cannot let you enter with the miscellaneous things or accessories of the older state. You cannot take it. Our mind believes something has gone wrong when it happens. But the truth is far, far, far gentler. Nothing is going wrong. Everything is rearranging to itself. What feels like a collapse right now is often clearing of the old foundation that no longer sustain the new identity that you have assumed. Every bridge is perfect. What people assume that bridge should always be positive. Well, I can hope for it. That it brings the time that you spend on bridge. I wish it is beautiful. It gives you a lot of positive messages. But it is not so. Bridge is not there to comfort you. It is there just to bring you from your old state to the new one. And this brings me to something which I deeply want you to understand. Something I have seen again and again in my work with people that I usually counsel them. And I always say to them, every bridge is perfect. Howsoever right now it looks right now. Even the one that looks disastrous, but every bridge is perfect. Even the one that feels unbearable, even the one that pushes you into the darkest corner of your life. The bridge is not there to punish you. It's not a punishment. It's not a karma. It's not a lesson that you must suffer through. It is simply the unfolding of your own assumption. And because your assumption is perfect, if you assume it, the bridge that carries you to its fulfillment, it must be perfect also. Even if your limited perspective of your own mind cannot see it yet, it is perfect. And just to prove this, I want to share you a story about a woman. A woman came to me with her concern. She wanted to improve her life, basically. And she shared a story how the relationship with the family is not going well. Her own family, and she's the only sole earner of the family. And the job is not paying good at all. And she's not somehow able to secure her financial freedom in the family itself or for the family. And she was having dilapidated condition of her own health, the condition of her own self, whether it's her skin, her hair, her basic health. It was not doing well. And after sharing her concerns, and she said, I started manifesting. And usually how people usually consider manifesting. She said, my life was not going well. My health, my career, my finance, my relationship with my parents is not actually going well. So I started manifesting, but somehow the things are going much, much, much more worse. I'm losing my hair. My health is going down day by day, second by second. My skin is erupting with all kind of pimples and everything. My relationship with my parents are not doing well. And I have lost my job. And You can say, I'm about to, but I've lost my job. Like, I'll still get my termination letter as well. And nothing is going right. Well, I heard about bridge of incidents. How can it be? It feels so punishing. It feels like a punishment. And that was her concern. So after telling her like what is exactly manifestation is, then I told her every bridge is perfect. Your only work is to just assume the end. And that is your only work. And rest, whatever happens, you stay in confidence, you stay in that belief and assumption that I am already living in the end. Like after some time we connected once again. She said like nothing is going fine. Then again I had to reassure her every bridge is perfect. No matter how hard, how punishing it looks right now, it is, if you're true about your own assumption, if you're living in the end, if you're assuming yourself to be greater than your own circumstances, then you're moving into the right direction. If you can maintain that assumption, let alone stay in that assurance that you're moving into the right direction. And later I know, she shared me her story, like what happened on the third time we met. She told me, like, the last time we talked, I didn't had any good time. So I shared with you, and even after this particular second time we met, after this time, for some days I still felt terrible. My health was going down. I was feeling depressed. I used to just stay in the sofa, couch, or bed in my own home, just staying in just one place. And my parents were so much scared about it. And she told me, like, I didn't tell you this story. My parents, why I'm talking about my parents, like my relationship with my parents are not going well because they deceived me in my financial decision about in my life. And because I'm the sole earner, I give money and they somehow misplace some kind of a money and they're not sharing with me. And I feel cheated, I feel deserted. And that's why my one of the most important concerns. That's why I've started manifesting apart from my own health and money. And then I say, what happened now? And she said, when they saw me that I lost my job, I'm acting like a depressed person, which I was. They grew a concern toward me. So one day when my father was drunk, he became emotional. He approached me that night and he shared a story that it was not her father who deceived her in the financial matter. It was her father's brother, her uncle, who took the money mischievously. And just to save his own face in front of you, the father's face in front of daughter, who's the only sole earning member of the family, he lied that they are the one that misplaced the money. And it was your mother and I who decided not to tell you plain and simple because I want to save my face, the face of my own family. That is my own brotherhood. That's your own uncle. And she said, after listening to this, that my parents made a mistake. It was like the only mistake of their parents, or they were just trying to save the face of the family. It was her uncle who deceived her, not her parents. She said me exactly this thing. All my pressure, all my depression, all those negative feelings went away. And she said, this is exactly what I was imagining, that I'm consoling with my parents. I didn't know, like from the beginning, it was her uncle who deceived her of the money. And she felt all the relief of the world. She said, like from the next day, I started working on myself. It was a completely beautiful feeling that her parents are not to be blamed. They didn't deceive her. It was the story all along. And this is exactly what she wanted. And from the next day, she started working upon health. And she somehow secured a very good job. The job which is paying more than the job she had earlier. And this was her unfolding of the bridge. Howsoever it looked punishing in the beginning, it looked so terrifying in the evening, but it delivered her from her older state to the new one, and that's how the bridge works. So in this case, well, I cannot portray you the pain she had in her voice when she shared me her story. I cannot portray you. I cannot give you the intensity she was feeling in those moments on the very first time we connected. But if you can take my word for it, it was painful. But that was her bridge. And that's the bridge that Neville is actually talking about. So what looks like collapse is often the old identity being dismantled so the new one may come. What feels like betrayal is often truth clearing the path. What appears as loss is often space between what you have assumed yourself to be. What feels like a delay is often fading echo of the state that you no longer occupy. The bridge is not random. Bridge is not cruel. Bridge is not chaotic. Bridge is precise unfolding of your own assumption made alive. You assume the end. That is your only work. And the bridge unfolds with a wisdom far, far, far beyond your own conscious planning. My father and I are one, but my father is greater than I. And his ways are beyond knowing. This is what Neville said. So it means you do not go into recognizing the bridge that you will be walking upon, that this will be the bridge that I will be walking upon. You cannot determine. One thing, it should always be in your mind. You can never identify what kind of a bridge that you will be walking upon. You can never identify. If you go about identifying, then it simply means that you're not living in the end. You're still waiting for something to happen. And you have left your assumption. So do not go out looking for the bridge of incidents. It's not your concern. And his ways are far, far, far more full of wisdom and beyond your own comprehension. Whose wisdom? It's your own inner being. Trust your own inner being. We must understand about the nature of bridge. The most difficult part of this journey, that bridge rarely reveals itself as a bridge. Neville said that only understanding the pattern that it has played out. So what I say, or what Neville says, you cannot determine the bridge of incidents by looking ahead. You can always connect the dot by looking backward. So once you get your manifestation, so-called manifestation, once you reach to the desired state, and then you look backward, then only you can identify, okay, that was in the present, in the past tense, that was my bridge, and this is how things happen. So that's why Neville always said, you just live in the end, you just assume. It's not your work, it's not your concern how it's going to happen. How it's going to happen is the concern of the bridge. Because the wisdom that the bridge carries is far, far, far incomprehensible that you can think about. So trust your inner being. The intelligence, the wisdom, and the power your inner being has is way beyond your rational mind. It sometimes feels uncertain and maybe feel chaotic. It feels like the world is shifting without our own consent. And that is precisely why so many people abandon their assumption right when the bridge is about to do something important. They judge from appearance, they judge from emotion, they judge from fear. But the bridge does not obey fear, it obeys the state and your assumption. When you enter a new state, your identity change, you enter a new identity, and the world must reflect that identity. So what you should never do on the bridge, when the bridge begins to move, the biggest mistake is just to interfere. Do not try to solve everything with logic. Because when you live in the end, you're always already living in the end. You're already living with the solution. And leave everything else apart. Things will automatically happen. You don't have to lift a finger. And what I'm about to tell you right now is one of the most challenging idea. You may refute it. but it will not refute you. You are always walking on the bridge. You're always walking on the bridge of what you assume yourself to be. We're always manifesting our own life. Whatever situation you are into right now in your own life, it is the byproduct of the assumptions that you held in your past. You are already moving in the direction. You're always and always and always will be moving on the bridge of incidents of those assumptions that you're holding right now or you will hold in future. And this is how life works. And this is how life worked in your past. Manifestation is not a switch that you are turning on right now. It's just a simple realization that imagination creates reality. And that's what Neville presented. You might be unconsciously living right now and you're bearing the fruit of your own conscious mind right now, although you are designing it all unconsciously. But now when you know that your imagination was the main culprit of the whole surrounding life or environment of your life right now, now you take that conscious decision that I am going to be guiding my own conscious mind. I'll be imagining positive things. I'll be imagining good, positive and loving things about my life and the people who surround me. Manifestation is just a set of realization, not a tool. It's not a switch that you'll be turning out right now. It's not a news that you're the superpower, or maybe you have, just like in movies, you drink some potion and you get some kind of superpower. No, it's the power you have, you already have, you always had and always will have in the future. You're already walking on some kind of a bridge, and what that bridge is, look into your own mind. What kind of assumptions you're having in your mind? If the assumption is this, that it takes 15 years to work in corporate so that a person can buy a home, you're walking on the same bridge without knowing it. Now it comes to the part of the fact that how can I change my bridge? I do not wish to get a home after working in corporate after 15 years. I want to get it sooner, maybe this year, maybe in several months. You change your assumption that you already have it, already have the money, you're just planning for it. And life will be so. The moment you change your assumption, you shift your bridge. And please do not consider a bridge as some kind of physical thing to step on. It is just a simple way how your life rearrange around you, to your old assumption to your new one. And this is exactly what bridge of incident is. And this is why Neville never said to look around for the bridge, how it looks like. Neville only said your only work is to dwell in the in, dwell in your own assumption. Your work is not to figure out. Your work is not to figure. Your work is not to reconfigure. It's the work of bridge that configures you. What kind of assumptions you have, and it will simply takes you to that level. Consider bridge as an elevator. You press on the button, it will take you. You press down, but it will take you to the lower level of consciousness. It's the you are the operant power who's deciding where he or she wants to go. And how you're deciding? By believing in what you believe in right now, what you are conscious of being. And this is how bridge works. So the bridge of incidents is something you should never care about. It's not your concern. The only concern you have that I should live in the end. I should think great of myself. I'm greater than my own circumstances. What I felt is a thing of past. Now it's something new to build upon. How I'm going to get there? I'm already there because I'm living in the end. But if you're already there, how can you think about the bridge of incidents? Because if you're thinking about bridge of incident, it simply means you're waiting to go somewhere. You're still not living in the end. And this is the exact part. People usually leave manifestation. They think it's not working out. What they don't seem to realize, they're always on the bridge of incidents. So there was a concept of Neville. Do not think about the state. Think from the state. If you're thinking from the state, then it's no use to be thinking about the bridge itself, because bridge has already delivered to your end state if you're assuming that. And this is what exactly bridge of incident is.